Hey everybody, what's going on? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have your Bitcoin/cryptocurrency update for Saturday, February the 15th. Before I jump into the content for this video, please do me a huge favor, hit the thumbs up button, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon to get notifications when I release new updates. So I just sat down at my desk, guys, a few minutes ago, and obviously the market took a bit of a dive overnight, it's really during the day, but for me it was while I was sleeping. So I missed the dip. I didn't get to buy the dip back here. And even though I've been short-term bearish, like yesterday I was talking about, I felt like the top was in, I definitely would have been looking to buy this dip down at 97.50, even if it was just on a day trade. And chances are I probably would have jumped out on this nice bounce here. It was like a 3% bounce, okay? But as far as when I'm looking at this right now, the real question becomes, okay, what next, right? What comes next? And the answer is, who knows, right? I do not love the fact that this pullback or dump or correction or whatever you want to call it, I don't love the fact that this happened on a Saturday because the CME is closed. And we all know that when the CME is closed and price makes big price movements, it leaves giant gaps. So for example, this is the CME, and we have these two gaps down here that have yet to fill, and then of course the one up here that is yet to fill. Well, price on the CME closed yesterday at $10,495. Price right now on Bitcoin is down around $9,900. So now, and this is assuming that price doesn't move back up, which it very well may, but now we have this massive gap right here. Okay, look at that. That's a really large gap. So I don't know that we're going to keep going straight down. I tend to think we're probably going to move back up today, and maybe overnight, and maybe even throughout the day tomorrow. When I say overnight, I'm talking about over the next 24 hours. Because, guys, oftentimes when you get a breakdown like this, you're going to come back up for a retest. Okay, and if you look at this on a daily chart, if I can find my daily chart. Okay, well I can't, so I'll just make a new one. If we put this on a line chart, what we actually had was we had triple bearish divergence. I don't know if I talked about this in yesterday's video, but I talked about it in the Facebook group. So you had your high on RSI, lower high, high on price, higher high, higher high. Triple bearish divergence coming out of the overbought territory. And we had a double top, okay? This wasn't yet confirmed. We had to wait for it to break this neckline at 10,236, okay? That's the neckline of the M. And by the way, if you had done that, you could have shorted that when it first broke it, right? You would not have been stopped out unless you just had a crazy tight stop loss, and you could have played this whole move down, okay? I actually took profits on some of my Bitcoin at 10,313. I didn't open an actual short. I just took profits on some of the Bitcoin that I had bought, and I'll probably buy that back. I might buy it back tonight. We'll see what things look like, right? I'm not worried about catching the bottom with that. I just wanted to, decrease my average costs. So we'll see how that goes. But essentially this neckline, the way double tops typically work is after you break a neckline, it's very normal to come back up and retest that neckline. And if it does, that means price is going to move all the way back up to 10.2 again. And of course, if it moves back up to 10.2, where's the bottom of this candle at? This candle actually closed way up at 10,495, but the bottom of it was actually at 10,210. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see price move back up to this area by tomorrow afternoon when the CME reopens and then continue its downward move. It also wouldn't surprise me if it just keeps moving up from there, right? This kind of blew off some of the top, right? Kind of liquidated some longs and kind of took back that funding a little bit. So, if this is a crazy strong uptrend like what we had in early 2019, a lot of times 10-15% was all we got before the next leg up, okay? And I want to be very clear about something, guys, is, I've been talking about corrections going down to the 61.8 and everything, and that is what we want to see in a correction, but we don't know when the correction is actually coming. We don't know if this is the correction, okay? So when I'm drawing these fib retracements from like here to here, and I'm talking about this coming back down to this $8,000 level, that's if it corrects right now. This could be a pullback, a 10-15% pullback. I don't even know what it was. What was it? 5% probably, 10%, like 7%, somewhere around there, right? That could be a pullback, and then this thing could just move up a whole nother leg, for example, just random number here, but let's say it moved up to 12 grand. That changes our Fibonacci levels, right? Then all of a sudden, if we get a correction at that point, then our correction's going to be down to around $8,500, okay? And you do have to be mindful of that. You don't want to be completely, bear biased where you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for the dip to go lower and lower, because we don't know how low it's going to go. And we do have, some people are going to be happy I'm talking about this. We do have a golden cross that is trying to form, okay? Now, what I've told people about this golden cross, there's a couple things to be aware of. Number one, it's not a golden cross yet. It has to close, it has to, it has to cross it, and it has to close, okay? But even then, you got to be careful being too over exuberant about golden crosses, because historically they're not perfect, right? There was actually a golden cross in 2014, and then price dumped 75%. Okay, so we don't want to be like just super arrogant bulls going, oh, this is a golden cross and we're safe no matter what. We can just long, because that's not how it works. Okay. Somebody in my Facebook group yesterday, a new member brought up hash ribbons, saying, oh, well, there's a golden cross and there's a hash ribbon. And, those are both good indicators. I have no problem with either one of those, right? Golden cross, pretty strong signal. Hash ribbons, more often than not, they tend to be pretty accurate, right? They're not perfect, nothing is, but they've done a pretty good job historically. But the thing is, guys, if anything was perfect, you really got to drill this into your brain. If there was an indicator that was just perfect, nobody would trade. What they would do is create a piece of software. It would be very, very simple to create. Put that indicator into it, and every time the indicator said buy, that software would buy that coin for them, and then that's all they would do, and they would get mega wealthy. If it was that easy, right, everybody would be rich. It's not that easy. Nothing is perfect, and if you're blindly going to follow an indicator, eventually, right, it can be right 4 or 5 times, and you can make money, and it only takes one time of it being wrong, and you overexposing yourself, and you've lost all of your money, okay? So be mindful of that. But yeah, right now, I don't get super bearish. I'm certainly not opening any shorts at this level. That would be absolutely insane, I think. Some people might do that. They might make a lot of money. I'm not making fun of them. I'm not, degrading them in any way. I personally don't see a reason to open a short at this level, right? What I would like to do is watch this, and if it gets back up to this neckline of this double top, if I saw a setup there for a short, I might look to short it. And I might not, right? I'm also perfectly happy not being in a trade and just waiting for it to do what it's going to do. If it pulls back to 8 grand, great. I'll look to go long. If it busts back above 10,236, great. I might look to go long then also, right? I don't need to chase a trade. And right now, I'm not sure what's coming. It could go either way, right? This could be the very beginning of a correction, or this could just be a pullback before more upside. And I know that's not what people want to hear. They want that definitive, this is what's coming next, but I have no idea. I have no idea what's coming next. What I can tell you is we broke out of this 4-hour, trend, the one that had been holding since November, right? This trend line on our side, we're broken underneath it. So again, I would look for it to, possibly come up and retest it from the bottom side. And depending on what happens there, it might give me some indication on what's coming. And if I look at the daily chart, we had this rising wedge, and look here, we've broke out of that and closed to the underside of that, so that's very bearish in nature. But now what I'm going to be watching is these 3 lines. Let's take these off. We don't need these anymore. We basically have 3 trend lines, right? We've got this super steep parabolic trend line. We've got this fairly steep trend line that, if price comes down, it'll be around 8,000 to 8,500. And then we have this more gradual trend line, which goes back to February, okay, of 2019. And this gradual trend line, if price comes all the way back down there, it would be down around 70. I'd say probably between 7,200 and maybe 7,500, somewhere in this ballpark here. So those are some trend lines. And then, of course, the very bottom trend line is if all this falls apart and this was one big fake out, then our long-term trend line dating back to December of 2018 would actually put price down around 5 grand. Okay, so I'll just play that level to level. What happens if it gets to this level? Does it break through? If so, that's probably going to go much deeper. If it can find support there, that was probably the pullback, and I'll probably go long. And if it gets to this level, does it find support? If so, I'll probably look to go long. If not, I'll probably look to wait and try to long it down here, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing on Bitcoin itself. So on the alt total market cap, you can see here that it did get a pretty big pullback today. Which it's to be expected. It's not anything to panic over. I mean, if Bitcoin drops several percent, it only makes sense the alts are going to pull back. They pulled back about 13%. Right now they're down about 9.7%, and this is from the wick. Okay, so I haven't looked yet, but I'm going to take a guess and say that dominance, hey, look at that. I talked about this yesterday. Literally, just yesterday, I talked about how I felt like Bitcoin was probably going to gain some ground against the alts. And in fact, what I said in that video was, I think the top is in. I think Bitcoin's going to pull back, but I think alts are going to pull back further. Exactly what happened. And it's a perfect example of how, Bitcoin dominance can go up even though Bitcoin's price is actually moving down. Okay. So what next for this? Well, I'm still watching the lines, right? Nothing has really changed. I'm still going to watch this bottom line, still going to watch this top line. And guys, you have to be mindful that we also have a parallel channel on these alts right now, okay? If I draw this, look at this. There is an upward sloping channel. That's not good news for alts, okay? And I hold more alts than I do Bitcoin, so I'm not saying that because I'm just skeptical or because I'm biased. My bias is actually toward the alts. I want alts to do better because I hold more alts than Bitcoin. Bitcoin only makes up less than half. I don't know the exact percentages, but it's less than half of my portfolio that I'm holding. But to me, this looks like an upward sloping channel, and it looks like it just wants to bounce up and retest either the middle, which will be this top of this triangle, or even go up toward the top of the channel, and alts just really get slammed, which would be a very sad day, right, for me. I don't know about for you. Maybe you're long Bitcoin. But yeah, we do have that upward sloping channel, and we do have this larger triangle that I feel is at play. So be mindful of those. And on the daily chart, let me see if I can draw a new trend line. I don't know. It's really tough to get this connected to the right points here. Let's connect it right here and right here. We should still be below that, right? Yeah, we're still way below that. Okay. So I still think that, this is the triangle play, and then that parallel channel that I just showed you is at play on that. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. As far as total market cap, I haven't looked at this in probably a week. Let's take a look here. Oh, I should have looked at this, I guess. I didn't notice that. Okay, well, this is basically a double top on the total market cap's RSI. Okay, so what I would be watching on that is to see if it retests the neckline, which is right at that 70 level. And if it does and it can't break through, then I would expect further downside on the entire market. Okay. If this follows traditional technical analysis, and if this is indeed the start of a correction, we could be looking at a pullback all the way down to around 200 and anywhere from really 200 to $220 billion. Okay, if it's a correction in an uptrend. That's assuming it's not just one giant fake out. All right, if we draw Fibonacci levels from the top back here in June to the bottom here in December, make sure I got this connected. This is bad news. Oh shit, I just saw this. I didn't know this. That's not what anybody wants to see. That's a bull. You guys seeing this? Okay, this is the golden pocket, and it is the area that you want to look for shorts in. How many times have we talked about this? Probably hundreds of times, right? If you're moving down and you have a big pump, you want to look for shorts in the golden pocket. Where did it come up to? Right in the golden pocket. I think I actually did talk about this. Now that I think about it, last week I said it might go up to about 300 billion. But I quit watching it. I wasn't actually keeping an eye on it. I should have. That would have actually made me want to open a giant short, and I didn't open a giant short. I just took profits instead. Oops. Anyway, yeah, that's it. It's the golden pocket, right? So it hit the golden pocket short zone, and now we're getting a pullback. So that makes me lean pretty bearish short term. It makes me think that maybe we'll get a retest, but then get further downside. I would be surprised, and this is just being, transparent. I would be surprised to see this, just pull back this little bit and then punch right through that short zone. If it did that, it would make me pretty bullish. Right now, I'm still hoping that this isn't a legit uptrend, right? There are some fractals out there. I talked about them the other day, that show this going back down to $5,000. And of course, I was a guy that was, looking for that $5,000 price point. But, this has been in an uptrend now since December. So I have to trade the trend, and the trend is up, right? So I'm hoping that's what's happening. But if not, then it might have been that I was right the whole time and that I should have stuck to that, original analysis. And it might actually be that this was a huge, dead cat rally within a bear market. If so, it's going to hurt a lot of people, so that's not going to be fun to watch. And if so, maybe 5,000 is not even the bottom, but we'll see. Right now, I just think it's more likely that it probably is an uptrend, right? I mean, like I said, I have my skepticism. The Jordan Belfort video definitely made a lot of sense to me, and I do see reasons to be very cautious. That's why I've taken a lot of my money off the table. But I've still got, I still have a fair amount of crypto, so I'm not like a perma bear or anything. But I think more than anything, if this thing does pull back, I would look for it to pull back no more than 200 billion, which would be down around like an 80% retracement. And then, further upside from there. We've got the halving coming up, so, hopefully the bulls are right. Hopefully the halving does help to pump price. So if we get a pullback here and then moved up into the halving, that would make perfect sense, okay? It's funny because, even though I was right about, this thing pulling back yesterday, I'm actually less sure about what's happening today than I was yesterday, right? The pullback was fairly easy to see coming. But now it's like, how big that pullback is and whether it's an actual pullback or whether it's the start of a dump, that's a lot tougher to call. So we'll have to wait and see what the market tells us. I will say this. I did pick some of my Ethereum back up. I had sold some Ethereum last night at 282. I did not want to be overly greedy on this, so I picked some of the Ethereum back up on this tail right here. Again, it's not a new long position. Okay, I don't want to make it sound like I'm longing Ethereum. No, it's the same Ethereum that I've had now for a couple of years. I just sold it high and rebought it low. So, again, that's something that I don't put a stop loss on. I'm okay if it goes to zero. I won't be happy about it, but I'm willing to ride that to zero. Okay, so when I say, hey, I bought back some of the Ethereum I sold, I don't want anybody to be like, oh, I should long Ethereum. I wouldn't open a new long here. That's just me. All I did was buy back what I sold. I also bought back some of the OMG that I sold. I think it's going lower, but doesn't matter. I had sold it up around 136, so I bought it back down here like 126. It was like, I don't know, 8% win or something. Let me see. Like 7.5%. So I took that, right? I bought it back. I was very happy to pay 7.5% less than I sold it for. I haven't bought back any of my Zcash yet, but just because I haven't made it over there to do it, I'm up, it's down quite a bit from where I took profits at. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I bought back. Haven't bought back any of my EOS yet. EOS got freaking hammered today. I think the last EOS I sold at 540 or something like that. I'm not even sure where I sold it. I have to go back and look. But I took a little bit of profits on my EOS up there. Did not buy it back here. I was sleeping. If I had been up, probably would have bought it back there because this is hourly RSI and it got down to 12, which is just insanely oversold. But I didn't. Now it's up to 472, so I'll have to look at it and decide whether I'm going to pick it up there or not. But EOS, I mean, it just got smoked. Look at this. It's down 18% in less than 72 hours. Freaking smoked. All right. So overall, guys, I'm cautiously bullish. Like I said, I'm looking for this to be more of a pullback type of situation. But I want to watch it and kind of let it unfold a little bit before I start opening new long positions. Okay, because it could be that this really is going to go down, sub $6,400. Just play it level by level. That's what I would say, right? Watch the different trend lines. If they start giving way, then you know to be wary. If they start holding and offering support, I think it's dangerous to be so scared to go long that you miss obvious long positions. But volume tells a big story, guys. I talked about this on Twitter yesterday. People were arguing, saying that volume doesn't matter. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Volume definitely matters. And right here, you've got these huge sell volumes. Right here, you have almost no buying volume at all. What that says is Joe Retail thought he was going to buy the dip right here, so he bought a little bit of Bitcoin. But the market makers are not buying this dip. The market makers are not interested in Bitcoin at $9,900. Could that change? Sure, it could absolutely change. But this is what volume does. Volume tells you a story, guys. All right, let me show you guys something real quick on this volume stuff. This might help you in the future. So this line right here was that neckline of the double top. And see how it was just consolidating right around it, above it, below it, above it, below it. So you didn't really know whether to go long or short. But when it really started to move away from it right here, look what happened. Your volume was 8 Bitcoin, 14, 23, right? Really low volume. Then all of a sudden on that move, bam, 542 volume. That's a show of strength from the bears. And that might have been one sign that not necessarily you wanted to short it, but maybe take some profits, right? If you were up big on a trade, that might be a sign to get out of the trade, or at least part of the trade. And then what followed after that first initial show of strength, bam, 2,000 Bitcoin candle where price dumped 4%, right? From the open to the tail, 4.2%. From open and close, 2.9%. A massive dump. And volume was telling you it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. If you were watching volume, you could have possibly front ran that move. So anyway, guys, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there. Bottom line is this. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see it come back up and retest this neckline. That would also put it back up at the close in the CME. But I'm not willing to open new long positions here. I'd rather miss the long than catch a falling knife. All right, this is James with Crypto Common Sense. Please remember that I am literally some guy sitting in a spare bedroom, so nothing in this video is financial advice. Nothing in this video is trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence and seek out professional investment advice before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And of course, don't forget to check the description for links where you can follow me on TradingView, Twitter, where you can join my free Facebook group, and where you can join my trading course if you'd like to learn technical analysis and how to trade for yourself. This is James with Crypto Common Sense reminding you to please trade safe.